Well, music, I would say, is kind of like an expression of oneself, especially one's creative self, in my opinion. And music can be anything you want it to be at any particular time of the day, and it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be therapeutic, it can be like a drug, it can be anything you want it to be. And I don't know what life would be without music. It probably would be very quiet or very noisy. I'm not sure which one. I'd pretty much say my childhood was pretty kind of basic. I was raised in a Christian home. My dad is an evangelist, and I'm from the island of Dominica. It's pretty much like a regular Caribbean kid growing up, doing all the regular stuff. Nothing too complicated. Music was always an intricate part of my growing up. My earliest experiences in music was when my dad traveled to the US, which at that time was a big thing, going to the US, and he brought back a bunch of instruments. I kind of gravitated to the drums. I guess his concept was kind of like put everything in the house, and everybody would kind of pick which one they want to play. And I kind of adopt that same kind of concept, sort of. Then I kind of gravitated to the drums, and at that time, Lucky Dube and Morgan Heritage, and they were kind of like the thing on the radio. And yeah, I think that's probably my early experiences, or my early exposure, sort of, to music. To tell you the truth, Anguilla Music Academy came kind of pretty late in my thought process. It started off with a very mere vision in introducing a great recording studio, something that we didn't have in the Caribbean, and it slowly starts to kind of evolve into doing something more than just something that can be a business or making money, sort of. There's a few other things happened to me in my life personally that kind of moved me towards thinking about like a divine purpose, sort of, in doing something that is meaningful. That's where my thought process start to engage in Anguilla Music Academy. The way I think as an individual is I try to have as much positive thoughts in my mind as possible to eradicate negative thoughts. I think to myself, when Anguilla Music Academy really came to existence in my mind was my first son, my second son, passed away. I was trying to figure out a way to kind of cope with the grief, and this concept of burying myself and taking upon my new self the spirit of my son. And so I started to think of, what would my son think, or what would my son want me to do? Kind of buried my selfish self, stopped thinking about me so much, and start thinking about others just as much as I think about myself. And I think that's when the whole idea of Anguilla Music Academy came into existence in my process of thinking, And at that time I was going through, some difficult times, and that kind of passed for a little bit. And I was trying my best to kind of share my whole idea of Anguilla Music Academy to other people. And at one particular time, I got myself in a bit of a stumbling block. And again, my mental thought process is to try and eradicate negativity and shed some light on positivity. And that's when I decided to actually to voice my idea of Anguilla Music Academy. Anguilla Music Academy, it's an institution, and moreover just a learning institution. I would say it's like an incubator for creativity, but more so for now in the area of music production and engineering, particularly because I feel like that's the void that needs to be filled at this point in time in the Caribbean, in this particular area.